that this lineup was not strong this year. I think this has been one of Horror Nights' strongest scare zones in a long time. The future of Halloween Horror Nights for 2025. Well, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another TLEV media video. My name is Mr. E, and welcome to a brand new series that we are going to be calling Terror Tuesdays. Now, for content-wise for Terror Tuesdays, it's going to range from multiple different things. You know, we're going to have some haunt-based podcasts. We're going to have construction updates for the mazes once we start entering that time of the year. Speculations, rumors, all for Not Scary Farm, Halloween Horror Nights, Dark Harbor, everything that you can think of in SoCal. And then we're also gonna have Q&A based content on Terror Tuesdays. Every time you comment in the comment section down below, you might just show up in the next Terror Tuesday video, part of the topic of that week. Now, to start off, before we're getting into the new year of speculation and rumors for everything Horror Nights, Not Scary Farm, Dark Harbor, I did want to talk about a quick little wrap up for Halloween Horror Nights 2024. Now, of course, there are some negatives and then there's those positives. We're going to talk about all of those. We're going to talk about the mazes, my favorite scare zones, and all of that for Halloween Horror Nights 2024. Now, Halloween Horror Nights 2024 was a year that to me felt like it went by super fast. One thing that I did find interesting is that it did not feel as packed as previous years. Now, I'm wondering if that is due to what mazes were being represented, what IPs were being represented, but wait times and all that kind of stuff just didn't really show a massive crowd coming to the event, even though there was sold out nights. Now, I'm wondering if they cut down on sales tickets, if that was part of it, but I did enjoy it a lot more not having to wait in very long lines. Now, of course, there was those occasional nights where you see 90, 60-minute waits, but really, it was really rare this year. Comparing it to previous years, especially the last two, where we had stuff like The Weeknd and we also had The Last of Us, Stranger Things, those wait times I remember being so long, and it would usually just be 2-hour waits every single night. But for some reason this year, those mazes did not have those wait times. Now, if we look at the mazes that were here this year, the lineup, as people say, I thought it was a pretty good lineup. Now, a lot of people would say that this lineup was not strong this year, but you know what? I gotta disagree. I thought, again, we had some strong mazes. I really enjoyed my time in A Quiet Place and in Insidious The Further. I thought those mazes were incredible this year. And I also really enjoyed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Legacy of Leatherface. Why some people might not have thought it was strong, and I believe this is part of like a negative aspect for this year for Halloween Horror Nights, was a lot of the time for the mazes, it seemed like there was a lack of scare actors. I really felt that in the original mazes. With Eternal Bloodlines, there were so many times in that maze that I would miss a scare because I just would not see a scare actor in that spot. There was one night I went through Dead Exposure and literally there was only 4 scare actors in there. Now, that seemed to be a big issue this year for just haunts in general, the lack of scare actors. And I don't know if it's because of how many mazes they're all producing, or it could also be just the wage that they're paying too. So like I said, that is the one criticism I was seeing for why people said this was not a strong lineup. But like I said, if you did not enjoy this year's lineup, let me know in the comment section down below. Now, scare zones wise for Halloween Horror Nights 2025, I thought what we had was pretty good, but I did feel a lack of storyline. Now, Horror Nights out here in Hollywood usually ends up mixing up storylines together, and we saw that a lot with the upper lot scare zones. For instance, we had Skull Lords, medieval time-esque Halloween characters mixing in with chainsaw punks. I mean, I might just be picky with this, but just those don't go together, in my opinion. Now, my favorite scare zone has to be Luchadors and Monsterosos. I think this has been one of Horror Nights' strongest scare zones in a long time. What the scare actors were able to do in that scare zone and how much fun they were having at the same time scaring people was so freaking awesome. And I guess just on the note of scare actors, I want to give so much credit to the scare actors of what they were able to do this year just for all haunt events. You guys were absolutely incredible out there with what you guys were given and all of the intensity and motivation that you guys had throughout all the nights of the events. I mean, I got to give it to you guys because that is a tiring job and you guys have to deal with a lot. So thank you so much for an awesome season once again. But back to it, Scarezones wise, Luchadores Monstruosos was my favorite, and then I did not really enjoy Skull Lords mixing it with Chainsaw Punks. That's another little criticism I have there, is just like mixing those together. It's weird. It's weird. There's no storyline with it. It's weird, but you know, that's kind of something we always get Halloween Horror Nights out here in Hollywood, so it's something I've gotten used to, but I would like to see those storylines kind of separate and each area having its specific storylines and the scare actors staying in those specific areas. Now, another thing I enjoyed this year is the use of sound stages. I know we only got 2 mazes in sound stages, but man, it is amazing to have these soundstage mazes. Especially we got one this year in Soundstage 12, which was phenomenal because this is where they filmed a majority of the Universal Monster films, and then we had a Universal Monster maze in that soundstage. So if we can keep using sound stages out here in Hollywood, man, I see a huge advantage there. So now, the future of Halloween Horror Nights. Halloween Horror Nights 2025. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we are reaching that point. So what do I think it's going to look like Halloween Horror Nights 2025 before we even get into speculations and rumors, because we're going to do that in the new year right away, and I cannot wait to speculate once again because you guys know speculation season is all year round, so I can't wait to get back into that and get back into doing that with my friends over at the Haunt Line. If you guys aren't subscribed there, make sure to subscribe over there because we do live streams throughout the year based off of all the haunt events, based on speculating and based on rumors for haunt events, so make sure to check that out. I think we're gonna get a lot of new locations for 2025. I think a big thing with using Soundstage 12 is that could become a new area of us going to mazes. You know, that area, that soundstage was used because the soundstage that we used previously for like The Exorcist, Believer, that one was filled up for filming. So Soundstage 12 hasn't been used in quite some time for filming. So I believe that is a new area we will be using for quite some time. Now, I also feel like we might, and this is kind of hopeful thinking too, but we might see something like the return of the backlot. It's been quite some time since we've had the back lot, but I would love to see us back there once again. It's a vibe in itself, and being able to put 3 mazes back there helps out with the spacings a lot better. But also, if that is not a location that we use for 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if the Terror Tram is wiped and we get a house or 2 in that location once again. Now, unfortunately, in my opinion, the Terror Tram has not been super strong, and this year it wasn't the strongest with Blumhouse. Granted, I loved seeing the Blumhouse characters at the event. However, I just don't think it worked that great with the Terror Tram. This year with the Terror Tram, it just did not seem terrifying in my opinion, and it really just felt like you're walking to walk, and with the little stations for these scare actors to scare you at, like the Megans and stuff like that, you know, it doesn't have a lot of life to it anymore, and I feel like we could get a lot more life and excitement and the scares if we were to take that out and again have those 2 mazes right by the entrance of the Terror Tram like we had back in, I believe it was 2019. Yes, it was 2019 where we had Pandora's Box and we had Us. And speaking of Us, with the removal of Us this year for the Terror Tram really hurt when they made that a RIP exclusive. Oh my gosh. That's such a great part of the Terror Tram, and the fact that we did not get to see the Tethered and walk through Jupiter's Claim. Oh, that did suck a little bit. So yeah, for the future, I really think we're just gonna get new locations. I really hope that we get 10 mazes. Once again, however, if there is a lack of scare actors like this year, maybe we stick with just the 8 and make them really strong. Or maybe we go to 9, okay? And then, you know, and there's a lot of characters in the Terror Tram. There's 2 teams worth in the Terror Tram. Use them for mazes. And then, you know, it wouldn't be as big of an issue of the scare actors missing. With all that being said, that is my opinion for Halloween Horror Nights 2024. I think it was a solid year. I kept telling my friends that it really felt like 2017 once again, where when you are going through the mazes that year, you're like, they're all right mazes. But then when you look back at it, you're like, oh, I would love to walk through that maze again, because that was a phenomenal maze. Like, I didn't enjoy The Shining right away when we walked through it the first time. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, I kind of want The Shining again, because I really enjoyed it actually. So yes, I enjoyed Halloween Horror Nights 2024. I don't think it was as strong as 2023, but I still think it was a pretty strong year. So again, like I said, tell me what you thought of Halloween Horror Nights 2024 in the comment section down below. And also, leave any questions that you have about Halloween Horror Nights 2025 or haunt season in general for 2025, or even if you have questions about TLEV media, and you might just be featured in the next Terror Tuesday video. So with all that being said, my name is Mr. E, and I'll see you guys on the next extraordinary adventure.